Hey, what's up guys? It's camera comparison time between the Xiaomi Mi 8 SE and the Xiaomi Mi 6X. Having a hard time deciding which one of these two is gonna be your next phone? Well, I got you covered. I have included almost every real-world test scenario possible just to show you which one is actually right for you. And yes, here are the specs, and from what I see here, it seems like the Mi 6X has the overall better camera. But yeah, to me they're just numbers though. It doesn't matter how big the megapixels are or how advanced the sensors are. The only thing that matters to me are the actual pictures and videos that are being produced by these phones. And I got a lot of them here. And oh, by the way, I'm gonna do a gaming review for the Mi 8 SE soon, so be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss it. Now I don't want to keep you waiting any longer. Let the battle begin. No. Okay, here we go. Now the first thing that you're gonna notice here is the field of view from these phones. The Mi 8 SE has a wider field of view and can fit a lot of stuff inside a picture. But when it comes to sharpness and detail though, the Mi 6X is just leaps ahead here. You can really see the difference in texture. That is how good the sensors are in the Mi 6X. And here's a picture of some leaves. The Mi 6X is definitely retaining a lot of detail here. You can really see the dark parts of the leaves. And on the Mi 8 SE, just looks half-baked to me. Now here's a picture of a rock, and as you can see, the Mi 6X is on a roll here. The Mi 8 SE simply cannot match the image quality on the Mi 6X. But wait, the AI is not working yet. For the first 3 pictures, I did enable them, but it wasn't able to identify what type of subjects those were. Now on this picture right here, it was able to identify this as text. And look how sharp and readable the text is on the Mi 8 SE. It looks really impressive. The Mi 6X always captures the closest one to real life. Now here's another picture with text, and as you can see, the text on the Mi 8 SE is much clearer. Although I did notice a bug, there were times it did not add the watermark to my photos. And here's some cake photos. The AI on the Mi 8 SE knew that this was food, and this is how it enhanced it. It looks a lot more delicious than the Mi 6X, although the bokeh on the Mi 6X is better though, it's just much more pronounced. Now here are some more portrait shots. The cutouts look pretty much the same to me. Both provide similar results. The only difference I see is that the Mi 8 SE has a wider field of view and the bokeh is not as good as the Mi 6X. So definitely the Mi 6X is better for portrait shot. Now here's a picture of my brother. I kinda noticed that the wide-angle camera on the Mi 8 SE kind of squeezes in a lot more in the photo. It does have like a fisheye effect to it. For example, the sign here is a little bit angled differently. I also noticed that his face is a lot more exposed, while on the Mi 6X you can see some shadows on the right of his face. Here's a few more photos of people as subjects. As you can see, the subject's body parts are highlighted on the Mi 8 SE. They are just exposed much better. It removes most of the shadowy parts. And I also noticed that it provides some level of skin smoothing and whitening. Here's another photo of my brother, this time with his family, and posing in front is my nephew. You can really see the skin enhancements here, and yeah, today's birthday pulled the shutter on both phones at the same time, and the Mi 8 SE was quicker to take the picture. Alright, moving on to HDR. This first photo already has HDR, and if you just use auto and point and shoot, it'll give you a silhouette shot right here. Now if you touch to focus on a subject, just like what I did here, I pointed to the sun and it kind of revealed the city and most of the foreground. Oh, by the way, I disabled AI here. I just wanted to see the HDR capabilities on both phones. Now here's another one with just auto and HDR, and here's one with touch to focus on the plant to let the camera know that it's my subject. It looks a lot more balanced now than before, and as you can see, the HDR on the Mi 8 SE is really good. The change in exposure was just huge. Also, I noticed that the colors on the Mi 8 SE is kind of vivid in comparison to the Mi 6X. Now here's a practical use of HDR, taking photos where subjects are positioned in an against the light scenario. And from the looks of it, the Mi 8 SE is definitely the more reliable phone. Not only was her face exposed better, but also the sky above her has identifiable clouds, while on the Mi 6X it just looks like an overexposed sky. There's a couple of more against the light photos. Now Based on the spec sheets we had earlier, the sensor on the Mi 6X is much more advanced than the Mi 8 SE. And yes, it does look better in my opinion. Well, it's just that the software processing is just not as well tuned as the Mi 8 SE on auto mode. Now, I took these panorama shots just to show you what I'm talking about. When I started swiping from left to right, the Mi 6X immediately went dark. It wasn't able to properly expose the store, but with the Mi 8 SE though, it perfectly balanced the whole store. Really impressive stuff here coming from the Mi 8 SE. And yes, it's video test time, guys. Starting off with some 1080p video. And as you can see, both have EIS for video stabilization. But right here on the Mi 6X, you can see a little bit of shake and jitter. This is really noticeable when panning around. The EIS on the Redmi Note 5 AI is actually much better than the Mi 6X. So yeah, right here we can see that when pointing to the sky, correctly exposes the sky, showing the blue color, while on the Mi 6X, it just shows mostly a bright white sky. Also, you can see the foreground is dark as well. And now going inside the building, we can see that the Mi 8 SE already exposing the inside pretty well. The Mi 6X just struggles a lot on sudden changes to lighting. Now on to focusing. First up is the Mi 6X, and focusing looks good. Slight lag, but still good. Now for the Mi 8 SE, wow, it's fast. This thing really does have the dual face detection autofocus. And for some slow-mo video, as you can see, the image quality on the Mi 6X is far ahead the Mi 8 SE. I also noticed that the Mi 8 SE has some focusing issues here in slow motion. Now for some low-light shots. The Mi 8 SE is hands down the better low-light shooter here. The difference between the two is highly distinguishable. You can really see that the Mi 6X has a lot of grain and noise to it. The Mi 8 SE is a tremendous low-light shooter, and based from what I'm seeing here, it's actually one of the best low-light shooters in my channel. And I've done so many comparisons before this. Only the Zenfone 5 is able to match this kind of exposure at night. Now here's a shot that was taken at a very dark area. It took me several shots to not have a blurry shot on the Mi 6X. You need to be totally still to get it right. And this time I used LED flash to get some good lighting, and it definitely improved the image quality. Obviously, it's the Mi 6X that is clearly the better image. You just need some good lighting to get a good picture. If not, it will blur out most of the time. Now coming to the low light video test, the results is mostly the same with the pictures. The Mi 8 SE just dominating here. It looks so effortless. While the Mi 6X is mostly struggling here, it also has a harder time focusing in low light. It's only great when it gets a good amount of light, but when darkness comes, the quality significantly drops. Okay, let's just end our 1080p video here. Now here's the same shot, but this time in 4K. And now as you can see, both just lost their stabilization here. Keep in mind that the Mi 8 SE only maxes out at 64 gigs of internal storage. Recording in 4K all the time would not be a good idea. And here's an extreme low light video footage, still in 4K, just letting you see the maximum capabilities of these phones. Now if you're going for the Mi 6X, I would certainly suggest you install the Google camera on it, since the stock camera app is just not as optimized as the one on the Mi 8 SE. Okay, now for the selfies. Both of these guys have the same 20 megapixel sensor, and from what I see, they almost look identical, with just the Mi 8 SE being a little bit saturated, as you can see on my shirt right here. Another thing to keep in mind is that there is no watermark for the selfies. Now I did get some difference when there was unusual lighting. It tends to overexpose when it gets some bright lights. And here's a sample selfie video. And as you can see, both almost look exactly the same, although you do see the Mi 8 SE overexposing her. And now here's some against the light footage, and here you see that the Mi 8 SE still remains supreme in terms of HDR, and this tells us two things. One is that the HDR is mostly software processing and has nothing to do with the sensors. 2, the software processing on the Mi 6X sucks in bad lighting. Here's a regular low light selfie shot with just one fluorescent light bulb as the light source. Then we turned that light off, and we were just using the light coming from the screens. We then used the LED flash at the front, and this is what it looked like. The LED flash was better on the Mi 6X.
Guys, this is the selfie low light video test, and The lighting here in this room is only that. There's only one source of light. So this is the quality you're gonna get from these two selfie cameras. And yeah, we're just gonna drop the lights down a little bit more just to see the quality. Okay guys, so this is the extreme low light selfie video test. This is just to test the extremes on both phones, just to know how far these two selfie cameras can go. Yeah, so there you go.
Alright, you've seen the pictures, the videos. Now here are my thoughts. When it comes to image quality, the Mi 6X is hands down the superior camera, but when the light drops, the quality drops significantly and you will just get a lot of blurry shots unless you're super still or have a tripod. And that's why I would have to say the Mi 8 SE wins this camera comparison. For sheer reliability, go with the Mi 8 SE. No matter what the lighting is, no matter what the scenery is, it manages to get the job done. The sensor might not be as advanced as the Mi 6X, but because of that exceptional software processing, it manages to come out as the better performing camera. Also, the AI scene detection certainly helped out a lot in making photos look a lot more interesting. And yes, the video performance on the Mi 8 SE was so much better. So overall, the Mi 8 SE for me is the clear winner here. And that is pretty much it for this camera comparison between these two beasts. Next up is the gaming review for the Mi 8 SE. Let me know guys in the comments below which games you would like to see on that review. And yes, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss it. Also subscribe to our model Donna, links in the descriptions below of course. And that is pretty much it for me here. This is Vince Domingo from Tech Beans. And I'll see you on the next video.